Hey, you guys. Stan Larimer wants to make you an offer you can't refuse. Hey, they don't call him the Godfather of Bitshares for nothing. We got him here on the show today, and you're going to listen, see? And you mugs also ask us a bunch of questions, and we'll answer them for yous. But there may come a day where we shall call upon you for a favor, and that day may never come. But for now, we're going to gather around as one big family for episode number 64 of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, ignition.
Who's bad?
Sonny!
Forget about it.
You do know the reference from The Godfather, right?
No, I've actually never seen The Godfather.
Okay, this show is over. Travis is going to go watch The Godfather right now.
I've heard the references, though. Making an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah.
That's good.
How have you lived your whole life and not seen The Godfather, Travis?
Dude, I don't watch a whole lot of movies, man. I spend my time researching the cryptos, and I don't watch
Even
movies.
back in the 70s when The Godfather was out, Travis was a futurist.
I was like, oh my
researching.
God, you got to get into this BitShare stuff, dude. It's going to be great in the future.
He was checking out Mafia Coin. Welcome, friends, to the Bad Crypto Podcast, now heard in 183 countries. We're still working on Kim Jong to welcome us into North Korea. But because, once he goes bad, he'll never go back, Travis.
Is that how it works? Well,
That's
good enough.
what I've
That's good
heard.
enough. I'm actually working on an Excel document comparing all the countries in the world to the ones that we don't have. And we actually have some that are not included in actual countries. So it should be interesting to see how many actual countries. I'm about halfway done through it, but I've noticed there's several in Africa. There's all kinds of bunch of little islands in the Caribbean that have not listened, kind of small countries. And there's some countries over there. Well, North Korea obviously hasn't listened. So I'm compiling all the ones that have not listened, and then we will start checking them off.
You know what I say about Africa? I bless the rains there.
You bless the rains down in Africa?
Down in Africa. Yeah. It's going to take some
That's a Toto reference. I know that.
to do the things I never had. Anyway, Joel Com here, Travis right there, and our show sponsor this month, of course, it's the Zilla app. And again, I need to write Abasa to see if the beta is out yet, but he's been talking about releasing the beta app. Maybe one of y'all can let us know if it's in the Apple App Store. The page for the app is zla.io/bad. And of course, this is where you're going to be able to check out new ICOs. It's a marketplace app. So you can vote them up, you can vote them down, and where allowable by law. I'm a friends. I'm a fabid alphabet. Mushmouth. It's you do get that reference, right?
Yeah, at first it sounded like a Muppet, but then I thought, wait, that's a Fat Albert character.
Okay, I'm not going to do a Muppet, although I could. But I'm not going to.
I mean, when you listen to this, you're going to be like, yeah, that did kind of sound like a Muppet.
Yeah. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? Wow. This train's not even going to get on the rails. It's so far off. Anyway, the wallet functionality should be available soon in the Zilla app, zla.io/bad. And, I think we better get to some content real quick or we're going to lose our audience.
Bad Crypto Inbox. You got mail.
All right. Kara Lee, she writes via email. She's been listening to our show since the inception. Thank you for that. And she's one of those rare women who are interested in the new technology. She's done a bunch of research on her own to understand the cryptos and the blockchains. And no matter how much she learns, it seems like it's never enough. And I'm sure you guys feel the same. She said that is true. We do feel the same. It seems like the more we know, the less we actually know. So we're still learning. So her comment is about the crazy media attention that Bitcoin has been receiving over the last 10 days. Is it ready for the spotlight? With the blockchain at capacity, lack of consensus in the community, wallet apps and exchanges with awful UX, UI experiences, with the exception of Coinbase, and the complete lack of well-executed marketing PR campaigns. I can't help but think our beloved Bitcoin is like the prom queen who is still upstairs in her bra and panties while her date is knocking on the door. Thanks for making my 3-hour commute in Metro Atlanta more interesting. Joel, you should really put on more clothes.
Yeah. And thanks for making that letter interesting. We appreciate the visuals there. You know, I was actually talking about this with another friend just, it was either earlier today or last night. I don't know. They all blur together, but you know, people are investing in Bitcoin. And of course, the market has blown up like crazy. In fact, as of this recording right now, the market cap of Bitcoin is almost 328 billion. And the total crypto market cap is just 3 billion and change away from 600 billion on the whole thing. Well, there's a lot of people speculating, but let's face it, the actual implementation and execution, real world use of crypto isn't quite there yet. So this reminds me of people investing in tech companies really early on when you knew that there would not be a profit for years to come. And so, you know, she's not wrong.
I don't think she's wrong at all. I mean, you and I have had this conversation multiple times where it really feels like the crypto space in some ways is like trying to figure out MS-DOS, right? And because there's the lack of the UI, user experience and interface it creates a problem. I was talking to a pretty sophisticated friend of mine in the crypto space, and he was having a horrible time trying to figure out MetaMask and Ether Delta. I mean, he's a really smart guy, right? And so that's a challenge. I mean, for one, you have to be really intelligent at this point to be able to figure out some of those nuances just because the user experience and the interfaces aren't that great. I mean, you know, here's the deal. I'm a pretty smart guy, and the IOTA app is still confusing me, and I still haven't gotten those 1,700 IOTAs figured out. So, I mean, that's one of those things is that not only are we going to have some challenges along the way, there's going to probably be some coins lost along the way because we are pioneers, really. All of us who are on this bad crypto journey here in Bad Cryptopia, we are on a journey, and those pioneers tend to get some arrows in the back along the way. Hopefully you guys can remain relatively unscathed, but you know, try not to stress too much about it. It is just magical internet money. So if you lose it, hopefully it's not the end of the world.
Bad crypto voicemail. You have one new message.
Hey guys, good morning. Another guy who doesn't know what he's talking about from Venezuela living in the exile, just like you. Last show, you guys were talking about Venezuela and the petro crypto. Well, here's what I can tell you from the little I know. These guys are going to take this token. They're going to fill it up with government assets, money. Forget about the gold, forget about the diamonds, forget about the oil. That's worthless because they don't have any diamonds, they don't have any gold, and the oil that they have to sell it out. They have to send it out to the U.S., mostly to convert it into U.S. dollars. So I can see these tokens just being converted from the money that they get into cryptocurrency so that they can easily move it into Bitcoin or something else. By legally, within their state, within their government, making it a phenomenal way to convert their U.S. made dollars into crypto without having to explain that they are buying Bitcoins or something else. So, yeah, sadly, I'll stay away from that. I'll ask everybody to stay away from that. Those suckers really screwed up the whole country.
Hey, Joel. Hey, Travis. It's Joe here in China. So I was thinking, you know, since I have all this awesome bad coin and, you know, I want to have as much as I can because, you know, I think it's my number one coin now. I'm hoping that, it, you know, since it's so low that, you know, with all the people listening to the podcast because, you know, everybody watches the stuff, they'll go up. So I'm thinking that maybe, you know, you create your own bad coin wallet or even your bad coin vault for all of it because it will be so precious. And then also I was thinking maybe a commemorative physical bad coin, you know, maybe made out of the cheapest plastic or maybe like a POG kind of like material. Yeah. So anyway, stay bad. Thanks a lot.
Joe, we have talked about a good many things about how to make the bad coin experience more interesting and exciting for hodlers, and no decisions as of yet, but we promise that you guys will be the first ones to know.
And whatever we do, we can assure you it will be bad.
TH writes via email, hello to the baddest podcast producers. I finally got my BitShares account, so you can please show me some bad love. You guys are fun to listen to, and after I started listening to you almost a month ago, I invested some money that was just sitting around on Ethereum and Litecoin, and I'm enjoying the current wave. Strategy is to hodl. Thank you guys for what you're doing. I am bad. Well, as you should be. So thank you, TH, for writing. And thanks to all of you who send us back your bad love. Maybe that'll be our reality show, Travis.
Tainted
bad love.
Whoa.
Call us. It doesn't get any more tainted than bad love from Bad Crypto. Our phone number for the Bad Crypto hotline is 708-885-9030. And you can call us there. Write us at badcryptopodcast@gmail.com, or just go to the website at Bad Crypto Podcast and click the contact Joel and Travis link. We actually do read all of those personally. We're trying to add minions to to the podcast here that help us out with various things, but we do see all those. Oh, Travis, I want to
Don't touch me, please. I cannot stand the way you Oh, sorry, my bad.
This show is just full of references today, isn't it? I want to give a shout out to a couple guys here. Somebody told me that they heard about us on another show, and it was the Listen Money Matters show with Andrew Fibert and Thomas Frank. And they're just right there, right near us in the investing category. And these guys talk about all things investing, but I listened to their episode today on the Newbie's Guide to Bitcoin and the Cryptocurrency Market, and they did a really good job. In fact, I think they might have done a better job. One of them was doing the explaining. I think it was Andrew that was doing the explaining, and Thomas, that's kind of a little bit of the naysayer. And Andrew explained it really well. Anyway, I sent those guys an email today because I think we should do a mashup with them.
Hey, thanks for autonomously making decisions first, Mr. Joel Comm.
Yeah. I think it would be super fun for us to record a show together and then split it in half. And we put half of it on their podcast and half of it on ours, and introduce each other's audience, because I think they did a really good job. And I would love to play like that. So now that we've officially put the throwdown here in the show, how do they say no?
I don't know. I haven't heard any of this that you're referencing yet. So I'm flying blind, Mr. Joel Comm, but I trust you mostly. Jesus
is my co-pilot, so we'll get there. Actually, I'm the one sitting in the back seat. He's doing the flying. So no news today, gang, because our feature segment is a bit longer than they usually are. We had the opportunity to interview Stan Larimer, who is the godfather of Bitshares, was there in the beginning back in 2012 or 13 when this project kicked off. And full disclosure, I've actually owned some stake in Bitshares. I don't know, there's no company Bitshares. There is decentralized as you can get, but I own some Bitshares in my wallet. Travis does as well. And this is somebody we wanted to talk to for a while, because this is the platform that Badcoin is built on.
Yeah. And what's interesting about Stan Larimer, his son, Dan Larimer, because that is his dad. He invented, Bitshares. He's also invented Steam. And then Dan also is now rolling out EOS, which is interesting. One question I wish I had asked Stan actually was why didn't, why wasn't Bitshares actually evolved into EOS? Why did he have to go and create a new one? Because I was listening to some comments of some people talking about Dan Larimer, and they're like, he's a really smart guy, but he works on a project and then he leaves it and goes and works on some other new project. Why doesn't he just build one out into one big one? Why isn't Bitshares become EOS? But I guess Bitshares will eventually use EOS, but it was a really interesting interview. I think Stan is an awesome dude, and what they're working on is some pretty cool stuff over there.
Let's talk to Stan.
Yes, we can.
Mr. Travis Wright, we are privileged to have with us today a special guest who is known as the Godfather of Bitshares.
He's going to make us an offer we can't refuse.
Mr. with the fishes.
His name is Stan.
Accent there, Joel.
Yeah, Luca Brazzi sleeps with the fishes. His name is Stan Larimer. He's part of the father-son duo of the Larimers, Stan and Dan. And you said you're a fan.
I am a fan
of Stan the Man.
And Dan, yes.
Stan, welcome to the vortex here at the Bad Crypto Podcast. How you doing?
Hey, fantastic. Great to be here.
We are glad you have joined us. And, I want to jump right in because many of our listeners know that in order to get the token that we've created, which is Badcoin, which is a completely worthless token that we shower down like snow falling, from the sky to anybody who asks, it's built upon the Bitshares platform. So let's just jump in and let's assume people know absolutely nothing, which is kind of me and Travis most of the time. What is Bitshares and explain the technology?
Okay, well, Bitshares is a smart coin factory, decentralized exchange, and Badcoin, by virtue of riding on top of that, is one of the fastest coins in the world. And so you can be among the fast coins of the world, 3-second transmission times, by simply issuing your coin on top of the Bitshares platform.
Maybe we're not so bad after all, Travis. Maybe Badcoin isn't so bad.
It's pretty decent. Pretty decent, in fact. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah,
decent coin.
You should call it fast Badcoin.
Fast coin.
Well, maybe we'll do a fork. We'll fork Badcoin.
The world needs more forks for sure. Now, I have a question because I've been monitoring this site called Blocktivity. And Blocktivity is basically a site that shows the real value of blockchains. It's showing, the activity within all of the various different blockchains. So it shows the capacity utilization. So it basically will show like the capacity of that blockchain on a daily basis. And like, for example, I'm looking at it right now. Ethereum has had 926,000 transactions in the last 24 hours. It's at 100% blockchain capacity. There's about 16,000 unconfirmed transactions sitting there right now. For example, Bitcoin is at 100% blockchain capacity. It's got 126,000 unconfirmed transactions. Number 2 is Steam. It has done 851,000 transactions today, and it's using 0.3 of 1% of its capacity. Bitshares has done 321,000 transactions in the last 24 hours, and it's at 0.11%, less than 1% of its total capacity. How is this? And I know that EOS is coming up as well. It's going to have even greater scale and capabilities. How is Bitshares and Steam able to have so many transactions but not even put a dent in its network?
Well, because we got rid of mining. Interesting, if you look at top 3 currencies on there, that you mentioned 4 of them. The 5th one would be a clone of Steam called Golos. Steam, Golos, and Bitshares collectively process over half of the industry's transactions on a daily basis. And if you look at the records, you'll see that both Steam and Bitshares hold records that are more than 1 million transactions a day. So they sit at the very pinnacle. What it means as a practical matter is that the 2 saturated chains aren't going to go much higher than the numbers you see today. They might go lower, but they're sort of hitting a glass ceiling. And boy, that's inconvenient for all the companies that have built on top of those 2 leaders in market cap, because that means that there's really no room for them in the end.
Well, this is not a new thing. Bitshares has been around for a while, right? Didn't you get started with your son Dan in 2013?
Yeah, we've been around all that time. We actually published Bitcoin and the 3 Laws of Robotics that described the decentralized autonomous company, where we said that what just a coin on there? Think of Bitcoin as a company that does one thing: keep track of who owns Bitcoin, and that gives it some value. Obviously, much value, but we said, why can't you put a whole company on there? Why can't you put a smart coin factory and a decentralized exchange and have all the benefits of decentralization and no middleman for something much bigger? So, yeah, we started clear back then. Vitalik Buterin, about a week after I published that Bitcoin and the 3 Laws of Robotics, came out and did a 3-page or 3-part series articles describing how he would generalize that to a decentralized autonomous organization, and introduced the idea of Ethereum. And so we were off to the races. We got Bitcoin deployed, or Bitshares deployed, about a year ahead of Ethereum, but Ethereum did a much better job of marketing and networking. And so they really took off. But now we're coming around for round 2, where Ethereum is up against the wall on performance. And we haven't even begun to peg our sweatometer yet.
That's because you don't have any crypto kitties on your blockchain. The cats are the end of the world. So, the second part of that question, then I'm looking here, and for a long time, BitShares sat at like half of a penny in US dollars, and then it shot up in the summer to, I don't know, about 46 cents, and then came back down to about 5 cents. And now it's on a run, currently, as of this recording, sitting at 28 cents. Why was it all marketing? Is that why it's taken so long for people to become aware of this platform?
Yeah, it takes a while to find your niche. It didn't help, but Dan went to the Beyond Bitcoin or Inside Bitcoin conference in Vegas in 2014. And told the entire Bitcoin audience of over 500 people that they didn't need mining anymore. And while he got a standing ovation at that presentation, he didn't endear himself to the people whose livelihood depends on mining. It might be describing the Model T to a buggy whip factory. They're not going to be very interested in hearing that you don't need horses anymore. So that I think probably slowed down adoption, even to the point of some people actively opposing it getting mentioned in various periodicals. But we have found our niche now, going around talking to CEOs who, have been building businesses on top of hopes for the blockchain industry, and they're starting to deploy them and hitting a brick wall of, wait a minute, I can't service my customers. The networks are already saturated. They come running to us. We switch them over to BitShares in a matter of a month or less. And suddenly they have clear sailing. So we expect to see that happen quite a lot.
All right. So one of my questions, Stan, is, because I've used BitShares, and there's some things that kind of confuse me about it. Some of it is it's a decentralized exchange. And, so maybe explain what is that, and then how can people best benefit from that? Because it almost sounds like we can exchange them for different coins in different places on different exchanges or something, but I've never quite figured out that, and then how those market pegged assets work, because there's like USD BTC and Euro BTC and some of these other ones, and so it's kind of confusing for somebody, I think, who's just getting on that. So maybe if you could explain the decentralized nature of your exchange, and then how maybe that works with some of those assets.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. Yeah, it can be a little bit daunting because it's such a powerful system. But if you're speculating on some sort of a kiddie coin, or speculating on a powerhouse like BitShares, you might want to take the time to understand all that. Now, when it comes to the average user, there's all kinds of different front ends that can be put onto it. Some are full featured, and just because they can do so much, first time a person sees it, it can be a little intimidating. But there are other front end interfaces, like at blocktrades.us, where it's just a simple little menu of what do you want to spend and what do you want to get. So the blockchain itself is agnostic about what the front end is on it, and different companies are building different front ends. Now, what is a decentralized exchange? Well, most exchanges that you visit require you to send them your coin. You physically mail it into them through the Bitcoin network or whatever, and now they have your coin stored under their private keys, and they're issuing you an IOU on their computer that you can trade like poker chips in a casino. And then you do all your trading back and forth while your coin is sitting in cold storage in their wallet, where some hacker can get it and run off with it. Meanwhile, when you're done trading, then you turn in your poker chips and they give you back your coin, send it back to you. But the whole time that you have your coins on the exchange, you don't really own them, do you? They've got your coins. That's why a lot of people lose them. With BitShares, you never give up your coins. They stay right on the blockchain under control of your keys. You can put them up for sale or trade But until the instant that the trade is finalized, they're sitting in your account, and 3 seconds later, they're sitting in the person you traded with's account. And at no time did they pass through a middleman who, could do bad things like turn off trading in your particular coin while they manipulate the market and turn it back on, or do front running, or do any of the things, partial reserve. I mean, how do we really know that once an exchange has 1 billion Bitcoins that they haven't taken a half of them out and done trading with them or something and treated you with a fractional reserve, just enough to allow people to cash out? There's no way to know what they're really doing.
Interesting. A full disclosure, this is, just so everybody knows, this is not a sponsored segment. This is just straight up interview. But, Travis and I did mint the bad coin on the BitShares platform. And I don't know about Travis. I've owned some BitShares for some time. Travis, are you holding BitShares as well?
I have a few BitShares because you need to have them to do transactions on the BitShares network. I don't have a whole bunch of BitShares, no.
Right. Yeah, I'm not like swimming in it, but I wanted to, I think disclosure is a good idea. And I want you to know this, Stan, as we're talking, Michael Taggart, who is involved with BitShares and is also a friend of the show, just sent me a link to an article that just published on the Huffington Post. He contributed it, and the headline says, cryptocurrency bank Arise Bank to acquire FDIC insured bank partners with BitShares. Oh, what's that all about?
I guess it's out there. Well, that's one of our announcements coming up in December, and it's a pretty big one. The neat thing about Arise Bank is they've got philosophically the same underpinnings as we do in terms of a strong freedom stance and a desire for decentralization. They've implemented a whole bunch of really great bank features. They had a really powerful ICO in the summer, and since then, of course, the proceeds of that have grown spectacularly. So they got a lot of resources and decided, rather than arguing with the banks, they'd just go buy one. And that means that they're going to be providing a lot of banking services on and off ramps into a company that is trustworthy in the digital currency sense, because they've got the religion of decentralization. And they have agreed to work with us to tie that into the BitShares network. And that gives access to all the other smart coin products and a whole bunch of other really high quality offerings that we'll be announcing this month and next. And so what we were seeing is, you go from regular bank to decentralized exchange to interfaces to all kinds of coins, including some really neat gold back offerings we'll be announcing this month too. So that puts together a really nice network on which for everybody to build, and then we're integrating businesses into all that.
Travis likes gold. He's a pirate. Yarr.
Yarg, matey. That's true. You've also talked about so not only are you working with BitShares, the same, your son also built Steam. He's also building EOS, and then you guys are also working on this thing called the Billion Hero campaign. What exactly is the Billion Hero campaign? How does it work?
Okay, well, to do that, I got to go back to another question that I managed to avoid answering: is what are smart coins and market pegged assets? And then Hero is one of them. And so I'll start there. The idea of a market pegged asset is that you can back one coin that's tracking a price feed with BitShares, and the smart contract will guarantee that you can always redeem that coin for an equal number of BitShares. So you therefore get a stable coin, which is much better than Tether, for example, which disavows any responsibility to redeem anything. And yet 1 billion people have bought Tethers thinking it's going to store their money, and they don't promise to do that. Well, in this case, with BitShares and market-pegged assets, or what we call smart coins, the blockchain, the honest robots running the decentralized system, are promising to pay you a certain number of BitShares to guarantee that the price of the coin remains stable. And we have coins like that track the dollar, the euro, the yuan, gold, silver, Bitcoin, baskets of currencies, lots of smart products like that are stabilized with respect to some definition. And the Hero is our latest one. It's defined as the value of the U.S. dollar on December 23rd, 1913, plus 5% annually. And of course, that date is a date that will live in infamy. That's when the Federal Reserve started printing money. And so since then, the dollar has gone down to maybe 2 or 3% of its purchasing power in 1913, while today the hero is worth over $160 in 2017 dollars. So that shows what happens when you have honest money designed to appreciate as opposed to dishonest money designed to degrade in value over time. So that's why we defined it that way. But as a practical matter for the average person, like a member of the AARP who saved up a nest egg and then retired and we're hoping to live off the interest, and they can only earn 0.5% at their local bank, they could buy a hero and earn 5%. So for that type of person, that's very useful. So that sort of is my answer to you. What are market pegged assets? What are smart coins? As far as the Billion Hero campaign is concerned, we noticed that Bitcoin in the past few years has grown by more than a factor of 1,000, actually probably more than 4,000 now. It's hard to keep track of how fast it's growing. Ethereum's another example of a coin that's grown by more than 1,000. If you had $1 million worth of Ethereum or Bitcoin a few years ago, you'd have $1 billion worth now. If you had $1,000 worth, you'd have $1 million worth now. So we say those two coins are members of the million to billion club. And there's lots of other top tier currencies that have done a factor of 10 or 100 growth over that time. Bitshares is up by a factor of 75 this year. So the idea of currencies appreciating greatly is not all that ridiculous. And we think something as strong as Bitshares, and keep in mind, Bitshares processes more transactions than Ethereum or Bitcoin, either one of them, in terms of record transactions per day, with 99.9% of its processing power left over. So if anything's going to do 1,000x growth from here, it would be BitShares. And so we created a little contest called the BillionHeroCampaign.com. And its purpose is to basically take $1 million that we said, $1 million worth of BitShares that we set aside in escrow. And when BitShares grows by a factor of 1,000 above that, then we're going to give that away when it reaches $1 billion in prizes. And we'll give it away to 12 good causes that are voted for by people who visit that site and vote.
Well, the website is BillionHeroCampaign.com if you guys want to visit it. And there's a video there. And there's a link that says get notified, receive free coins. So, go ahead and if you want to check that out, put your email and name in there, get on their list. And I guess when those become available, you guys will send out an email. So, I've been meaning for some time to create a tutorial that explains how to create a token, and just, new topics keep coming up and new guests and news. And we've just not had time to really go into that. So now that we've got you here, why don't we talk a little bit about how somebody creates their own asset on the BitShares platform?
Okay. It's really easy. It amounts to filling out a little dialog box of form. You just go right into your wallet and select the tab for defining an asset. And it'll have fields to fill out for the name of the asset and a little description of it. And then there's about, a dozen parameters you set, like how many coins are going to be available. Is it a fixed supply, or are you allowed to modify the supply? If you pick fixed, the system will hold you to that. You can never change it again. It's a promise that gets enforced. But if you got a certain kind of asset that doesn't need that, you can leave that unset, and then you can, for example, one of our gold-backed coins, is only limited by the amount of ounces of gold that the company can buy. So there's no upper limit, but they do promise that there's an ounce of gold in storage for every coin that's issued. So those are the kind of things you can set. You can set how many decimal points they have, who can own the coin. There can be whitelisted so that only people who have done KYC AML can hold the coin. But if you don't care about that, you can leave that blank and anybody can trade it. So it literally is a matter of filling out that one little dialog box. It has a few tabs that you can go through to finish filling out the definition of the coin. that whole process could take you 10 minutes once you've done it once. And then you hit issue, and boom, that coin is out there trading on the market that very day, that very hour. So making coins right now is trivially easy. You don't have to go out and get the miners to adopt it. You don't have to go out and get the exchanges to adopt it. You can have your coin up and running, and its fate is then dependent only on your ability to market it.
Well, so that's what we do with Badcoin. We made 10 billion of them, Travis and I did. 10 billion Badcoin. And but we're having to tell people, we're giving them away. They're not for sale, although some people have traded them on the exchanges. It's not a security. It's a free token. And if people choose to, use it for spending at some point in the future, good on them. But with this token on Bitshares, how does somebody then trade it off of Bitshares? How do they send it to another exchange?
Well, any exchange that offers Bitshares product will have a Bitshares wallet you can send it to. And so, like, for example, Poloniex, I can go on there and down under Bitshares or BitUSD or whatever, there'll be a little place where they'll give you an address to send to or a name to send to. And so you go into your Bitshares wallet and type in the Poloniex wallet name, and boom, it appears there. And then to bring it back, it's just reverse that process. So moving it onto any other exchange is, just the same as moving your Bitcoins or any other digital coin.
Oh, see, I was under the impression that I could only move BTS, which is the symbol for Bitshares, to an exchange like Poloniex. But you're saying that if I send Badcoin to my Poloniex Bitshares account, Badcoin will show up there?
Well, no. Think of it as Poloniex is looking inside the Bitshares wallet to see which coins they want to list, just like they look across the rest of the blockchains out there. And they may pick several from the Bitshares system that they want to feature, but they won't probably pick a coin that isn't intended to be have a lot of volume that they can make money on. Since you give away your bad coin for free, they say, well, no one's going to pay to trade it, so we won't bother listing it.
Got it. So right now, Bitshares is the DEX itself is where people could trade Badcoin.
Yeah, and that's kind of neat, right? Because there's no gatekeepers or exchanges telling you whether your coin is good enough.
Right.
Yeah.
We're good enough, Travis, right?
We're good enough, doggone it. And people like us. Hey, I have a question. I would be remiss without asking this, right? Because we like to see both sides of the stories. We like to talk about and really dive in and see what's going on. Because I know back in October, Bittrex, they eliminated a few different cryptos from their exchanges from being traded on there. And then that dropped Bitshares because I guess there was some SEC demand to stop certain coins from being traded on Bittrex because they're viewed as securities. What was the whole deal behind that with the SEC thing, and what has transpired since then? Because they were actually looking like, hey, you can't be trading these Bittrex. And then why was that? And then what's happened since then to maybe make them change their mind?
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about that. In order to get them to even answer the phone, I had to sign an NDA that would promise not to divulge anything we talked about. So I can't talk about that. I can categorically deny that the SEC had any problem with Bitshares whatsoever. At the txsrb.org, that's the token exchange self-regulating body run by John Godson Company. They certified Bitshares as one of the very first clean coins, whitelisted as not a security and not having any trouble. And they have verified that through their contacts with lawyers that have worked for the SEC. So, that was just a rumor launched. It was a conveniently timed rumor, a suspiciously timed rumor, but nevertheless, at the very day they decided to delist 2 unknown coins plus one of the top 10 most traded coins in the world, this other rumor came out. So there's been a lot of speculation about whether that was intentional or not. I'm not going to fuel that speculation. I'm merely going to put out all the rumors that came out that day. And as you can see, a lot of people ran away from that rumor, and it hurt our share price for a couple months. But now we're roaring back, and that's even before we start announcing December's massive set of new business and new users that are coming.
Well, there's 2.6 billion BitShares. Is that the total that'll ever be? 2.604,850?
No, there's another about 1 billion that are locked up in escrow that are the operating capital of the company. So that can't be spent very easily. But if a little bit of it, a tiny little sliver of it, is put into circulation to fund the people that are running the computers on which the network operates. And then if there's a few more little projects that have been proposed to the community to do things like fix bugs and polish the user interface and do a little bit of spokesmanship type functions with the world. And if it's popular enough to get enough votes, then the system will automatically pay the designated amount of those BitShares from that pool.
Well, it's at 29 cents right now, just, for when we're recording this. Who knows where it's going to be by the time you hear this, because in the crypto world, gravity doesn't exist. Things just float up and down like crazy. The market cap is about 762 million. And you shared that there's some things coming. Can you kind of give us the big vision for BitShares? Where do you see this going in the next 3, 5, 10 years?
Well, the insanely great thing is that it doesn't depend on just one company's vision. There are lots of independent companies that are building on BitShares. But what we have done with Cryptonomics is align ourselves with some other entrepreneurs to create a new company called Hyperion. And that company is particularly good at going out into the industry and sitting down in boardrooms and asking the question, with your new coin categories that's coming out, how many transactions do you need? Have you thought about the train wreck that's coming in the coming year as everybody tries to use Bitcoin's 7 transactions per second or Ethereum's 25 transactions per second? They were just bragging the other day that they reached 10 transactions per second. So I'm not sure what the real number is, but that particular group of people I'm allied with are going from boardroom to boardroom to boardroom doing rescue operations, pointing out to people who are about to launch big coins that they have a kitty coin problem and that they should probably move on to a real-time blockchain. And we're getting tremendous response from that. So you're going to hear about 5 different big companies with millions of customers and companies that are bringing millions of dollars worth of free giveaways and prizes and all kinds of interesting things, and gold-backed assets and bank interfaces and entire projects for humanitarian purposes. They're just a long list. We want to, announce them one at a time and have each one of them have its day in the sun separately. But there's a long string. I don't think it'll run out because I think they're queuing up faster than we can announce them at this point. But that will be the thing that makes the difference from BitShares, because every one of them is adopting a model where their large revenue streams are going to be buying BitShares as part of their investment strategy. And then they'll be using those to back their coin in order to grow their coin faster as BitShares grows from the combined growth of the revenue stream of every one of those companies. So we are super bullish on BitShares right now.
Yeah, I remember from our first conversation that we had really early on with Bad Crypto, we were chatting with Michael Taggart, and he was the one who helped us walk through and create our Bad Coin and kind of did some demos, and we talked about the original BitShares platform there. So BitShares is pretty much a decentralized company, right? There is no like BitShares headquarters. Pretty much, I think from what he had said that there's technically no BitShares employees. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, we call it an unmanned company. Earlier in the podcast, I mentioned Bitcoin and the 3 laws of robotics. It describes what an unmanned company is and the whole vision that it's incorruptible if you keep the people out of it. And that's what Bitcoin is, a very simple unmanned company. And BitShares is one of the most sophisticated unmanned companies in the world today. And everybody else out there that's a manned company is about to use its services because there's no middleman and zero friction for economic transactions. So it sort of sits in the middle as, for the first time, an honest level playing field with honest money and a chance to bypass the people in this world that feel that they have a right to interfere with every economic transaction out there.
Well, isn't it even more decentralized then than Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin, you've got some people like the Winklevosses that, they own, what is it, 1% or something. They have a huge stake in it. And, you've got Satoshi out there with his million Bitcoin probably. And then you've got, the Chinese miners, account for 80%. I mean, there's kind of a centralization going on there.
Well, no, I would say that Bitcoin is as decentralized as the Federal Reserve, our central bank. If you think about it, there are 7 governors of the Federal Reserve, takes 4 of them to change policy. Bitcoin has 4 mining nodes, 4 CEOs of those 4 companies who collectively hash over half of the hash power out there, sign over half of the blocks. So 4 company CEOs in China have the same power as the 4 governors of the Federal Reserve. Bitcoin is as centralized as the Federal Reserve.
Well, you've been listening to our conversation with Stan Larimer, and his site that we're going to link to is the billionherocampaign.com. But the BitShares DEX is at bitshares.org. And of course, if you want bad coin, you have to sign up at bitshares.org. Create a wallet. The online wallet is real simple to create, and then go to our Facebook page at badco.in / is it just Facebook? Travis, I don't even know the URL. Or is it just facebook.com/badcrypto? That's even easier.
That's our Facebook page, yeah.
Right. So on the page, you'll see a sticky post at the top that says, hey, put your BitShares username here, and we'll throw 50,000 worthless bad coin your way. And who doesn't want 50,000 of something, even if it's worthless? So anyway, thanks, Stan, so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, we just need your BitShares ID so we can load you up on some worthless bad coin.
Yeah. Mr. Travis Wright, what does Santa say about BitShares?
Ho, 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 hodl.
I figured he'd say ho, 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 BitShares.
Ho, 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 BitShares. Yeah, that's probably right.
That was great talking to Stan, and we do need to get his son Dan on in the near future. We're lining up a bunch of really great people that are going to be on the show. And, with as much content as we're putting out, we have a lot of things we still want to teach you, and we want to talk about news and answer your questions, but we also want to seize the opportunity to bring these interviews to you. And coming up later this week, in a future episode, we were able to speak with the team from CryptoKitties, Axiom Zen, and they're going to be here as well. So lots of good stuff, Mr. Travis Wright.
So good. I mean, I can't believe that Warren Buffett's coming on our show, and Bill Gates and Obama. It's just unbelievable that these guys are coming on. So grateful. Future episodes.
All right, gang. Well, thanks as always for listening. We hope that this holiday season finds you full of cheer and surrounded by people that you love, and boatloads of crypto that are getting put on a rocket so they can go to the moon.
You stay bad, or you're going to swim with the fishes.
Who's bad?
The Bad Crypto Podcast is a production of Bad Crypto LLC. The content of the show, the videos, and the website is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. You shouldn't make any decisions as to finances, investing, trading, or anything else based on this information without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional financial advisor. Please understand that the trading of Bitcoins and alternative cryptocurrencies have potential risks involved. Anyone wishing to invest in any of the currencies or tokens mentioned on this podcast should first seek their own independent professional financial advisor.
I don't know. Hey, Travis.
Hey, what?
Go watch The Godfather. It's classic.
I don't want to.
If you don't, you're going to end up with a horse's head in your bed.
I don't care about that. I'm trying to figure out this crypto shit.